And now we're on the couch with ANDO. I want to introduce Steve Jaguar. Welcome, and thanks for joining us on ANDO's On the Couch.
Thank you, ANDO.
And look, I've got to say, 1980 was your first year. Played over 100 games for Woodville West Torrens, but Woodville in the early days. How'd you get to come to?
I was a local boy. Grew up at Findon, and Woodville was in our zone, even though I had black in one eye and white in the other as a kid, and my parents were all Port Adelaide and lived down at sort of Queenstownish way. I'd play under 17s at Woodville and then jump in the car and head off straight to wherever Port were playing, even if it was at Elizabeth, go and watch Port play, and then just sort of progressed through there and went from 17s, and the next year hope I could make the under 19s as a first year player, when you're little and you think, geez, it's going to be hard up there.
How do you get that little...
So actually they were short in a reserves trial after all our pre-season, and they asked a few of us young guys out, Ian Depp and myself and a couple of others, and we rocked up to this reserves trial, didn't know anyone, the coach didn't even know who I was, and said, "What's your name, where did you play last year?" And I said, "Oh, in centre occasionally and on ball." And he goes, "All right, you can have a second ruck roving spot, half forward flank." And Dedo got a back pocket, and the other young blokes got on the bench, and that was it. So, and I just had 3/4 of that flute game you have very rarely. Don't have it very often. And Barry Goodingham was the coach at the time, 6'9", and he's gone, "Who's that little kid out there? Get him off."
Was he from North Melbourne?
North Melbourne originally, So 3/4 time, I had the first aid guy and a team manager come and say, "Come off and sit on the bench for the league." I've gone, "Who, me?" Anyway, I got tired. He didn't give me a run because my legs were buggered by then, playing against men, and played in a couple of league trials after that, and 2 reserves games, and then first league game against Port at Footy.
Because that's amazing.
Unbelievable.
I know you
didn't play one of the 19s game.
Because your father was out at Port Adelaide.
Yes.
And I would say that your whole family was just black and white.
Correct.
How did your family cope with? Hang on, Steve's going to go and play for Port Adelaide for Woodville. I reckon Granny wouldn't be too happy.
Yeah, well, my grandmother lived at Rosewater, and she said, she said, "Move in with me because you'll be in the Port zone and whatever." And so unfortunately I couldn't do that. We're in the Woodville zone, so I stayed there, and that was it. 12 years later, I gave it away. So.
Now, I've got to thank Rachel Laurie from Ray White Real Estate at North Adelaide for ANDO's On the Couch, which is great. Now, what about some of the characters here? I mean, they're just fantastic names at Woodville in those days. It must have been brilliant to play alongside of some real big names.
Oh, well, when you grow up as a sort of in that area, you know all the players. I had John Cummins, who was probably not a household name, but he was a great half-forward flanker, on-ball, a centreman. He looked a bit like Barry Robran, but he was a freak player, and obviously Ralph Sewer and Max Parker and Lindsay Heaven and Kevin Harris came and played with me at Woodville, and Ox was an unbelievable player, as good as anyone that played the game through the 80s.
The real characters of the game, weren't they? I mean, that's probably something that for our viewers out there that are probably a bit too young, and some of the names that we're mentioning, that back in those 80s and 70s, we're talking about a game that you were able to be a real character in, and there were some, as you said, household names, and you got to play with and against some beauties. Yeah,
well, I wasn't quite as strict, perhaps off the field, even though the majority of us never drank during the week. And obviously, you've heard some about Grenville Dietrich and some stories about the occasional guys that have a drink midweek. But most of us were semi-professional. We still worked, but we took it very seriously and didn't drink. But you could have a bit of fun off the field, like after the game, and on a Sunday and a Monday was when we went out with local footballers and mates that played against us. And the characters that we played against were just as big as the ones we played with.
Do you think the game enabled characters in the way of an actual camaraderie? Because, a little melee, I don't think it ever hurt anyone, but you're able to really stick up for your Guernsey. And I think that built that really strong team bond in that sort of era of footy.
Well, I mean, we're both parents, so you understand that you don't want your children to get hurt.
No.
And my parents didn't want me to get hurt either. But when you cross that line, it is a bit of war, and you've got to put the flag in the ground. And if someone goes down, you've got to be there to support. And we all went down. None of us wanted the behind the melees or any king hits or anything like that. But if someone hits you up front, and it's your turn to give it back to them, you did in those days. And we've all got scars to prove it. But it's a fine line between being too rough and not rough enough. But my daughter's played netball all her life, and you think football's tough. These netballers, they're as tough as us footballers, and they were non-contact sport. It's as rough as billios.
Yeah.
So back in the 80s, it was like that, and it was great fun. Yeah. And like I said, we went to war on the field, but off the field we'd have a drink with all our opposition, and we got to know the umpires. We got to know we got to know everybody around that area. It was an amazing time. Great.
Yeah. And what about work? I mean, you during, as you said, you're a semi-professional. What did you balance it with?
Well, I was a policeman when I first left school for all through my footy career, basically for 12 years, and then I moved into after that I moved into lots of sales games.
Yeah.
And I was a booze rep for 10 years, and I sold radio advertising and mortgage broking, and now I'm back in sales now with a company called Maximum Energy. We do
good guys there, good prices too. You told me.
Yeah, we do
good
LED
prices.
lighting and solar and batteries, and we're a one-stop shop. But we're all about sort of helping out to reduce your power bills, and that's what we do.
Yeah.
But it's in sales now.
Did the police, was that an area to give a really good balance, or was it quite hard? Because I know there would have been shift work and you'd been balancing that, or it actually fit pretty well.
Well, it was tough at times. Occasionally we'd have to do a night shift where you'd start work at 11 o'clock at night, finish at 7 in the morning, try and go home and sleep for 4 or 5 hours, get up, have something, and then get to go and play a game.
Yeah.
So that was difficult, but depends on where you worked, and you tried to balance where you worked with what type of role you could play in football and sport. And the police force are very good with allowing us to try and get the trainings when we could and so forth. So you picked a job that you could cover that. So
I mean, football's been a huge part of your life. I mean, I know from your own playing, you went into sort of coaching, and then assistant coaching with your son doing brilliantly in SNFL, and then into the amateur league with Foss Camden. So that I mean, it's been a real journey, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, coaching is something I like doing.
Yeah.
I love doing in the juniors. I didn't like it that much at senior level. It's a real balancing act when you come from being a league footballer to coach amateur league when they're amateurs and they're not getting paid the money and they're not expectations aren't there. But as you know, you need to train to get better. But you don't want to be too hard on them. You can't be too soft on them, and that's the strength of a coach, is to find that balance. And then coach my son and all his grades through school and Henley and juniors, and I love that, because you can be a real teacher of children. And my daughter playing netball and following them around, it's a great time of your life if you can mix it all in.
And AFL football today, we see lots more changes. We've got more rule changes again for 2019, and you think they've set it pretty well in the competition?
Yeah, I'm probably from the old school a bit. Stop making all the changes. But yeah, it's a difficult game to sort of understand now, when it's different to our day, where they're so fit now and their running is just unbelievable. Even though we thought we were fit, now they're running, the kilometres they're running now is amazing. So but they're professional. How great would it have been us not to have to work and we could go to training. It would have been amazing to be involved in it now. But I don't mind watching it. I don't get over the top with it, but it's an amazing game, and I still love it, and it's good to be part of.
And I mean, I know you've spent a bit of time down at Foss Camden. What about those new club rooms down there? I just want to give amazing.
Yeah, they're
fantastic.
Yeah, they're supposed to be ready very soon, hopefully next month, and the boys will play all the away games in the first part of the year, but then they'll come home with that. So like a lot of clubs now, with girls coming in, they're getting government grants to extend and build on, and knock the old club rooms down and build brand new ones. It's going to be an absolutely a ripper, and it'll be a really nice place to come and be, and for your families, and it'll be a really nice place to be.
One of your most memorable games. I mean, I know you've played well over 150, in a really tough era and a great era, and there must be a couple that stand out.
Oh, always your first one.
Yeah, of course.
Especially when I really honestly thought.
How'd you find out? How did you find out when?
Oh, they told me during the week that you're getting very close. Train Tuesday night.
Coach came up to you?
Yeah, Barry Whittingham, he's 6'9". I was like a little boy. Yes,
and he said you had a chance this week.
Yeah, he said things could fall your way. We've been really impressed with what you've done the last 2 weeks, and on Thursday night he'd come up to training and said you're in. So. That was an amazing thing to tell your mum and dad and family and friends.
Grandma, she handled that okay?
No, she was tough.
Especially against Port Adelaide. Playing
against Port, she didn't know who to barrack for, but she would have been like for me to get a kick, but but they beat us by about 130 odd points or something in my
that's a
first
hard day
game.
out.
So
Yeah,
try and get a kick. And I'm standing him and Spoof Athletic and all these guys. I was trying to chase those guys around all day. It was a tough task, but that was great. And to play your 100th, and Malcolm dropped me for my 100th. So the kids built all the banner and got all that media attention. Then he dropped me for one game, and so that was tough. But then came back the following week.
Played plenty more. That's
we didn't have many wins. So to have a win was an amazing thing for us, and to hang around the club rooms and change rooms after and see all the supporters and all the people, the volunteers that hadn't won many games, and to see how happy they were. That was an amazing thing.
Worth it. That's right.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, Port won bloody 20 games every year, so you guys got sick of it, I suppose. But our Woodville supporters, they were so loyal, and to give them a win, it was and that's why '86, when we went from nearly bottom to top, it would have been amazing for them. Yeah, it was special.
Steve, thanks so much for joining me on the couch.
Thanks.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
And again, thanks very much for Rachel Laurie from Ray White Real Estate at North Adelaide. Back shortly.